All right, everybody. How's everybody doing? Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's about noon on Wednesday, November 13th. Just got a brand new Tesla full self-driving supervised software update. I am now on version 12.5.6.3, which is the latest and greatest version that's out there for the Tesla universe. So yeah, I'm excited. So we're gonna go try out this new software version and we'll talk about it a bit on the way. So let's get going. All right, heading out now. And once we get on North Park Drive, I'll go ahead and get into some of the specifics. Let's get out of the neighborhood first. All right, come to stop sign. Still got the 0 mph NHTSA stop, good to go. Take our right turn, very smooth. All right, I've already noticed one small difference that's really good. Even though there's no lane markings until you get to this point right here, it shows to create a lane and get over to the right. Historically, with no lane markings on that road right there, it would just go right down the middle, which is fine. I mean, technically there is no lane marking, so it's one lane. But it's big enough for two vehicles, and I'm not really sure why they don't have lane markings right there. We're at a four-way stop, come to a complete and total stop, progress on through, but no other cars at the intersection. So nothing really to talk about there. Coming up to the stoplight here, put on our right blinker, and we'll take a right turn on North Park Drive. Very smooth. Stay in our lane. Great job. So I've already noticed one small improvement difference. Granted, this is my very first drive on 12.5.6.3. But again, that is something that it never did on previous versions. It always went right down the middle when there were no lane markings. So that is a first. Granted, like I said, minor, a minor detail. But when we're in the business of talking about nuances, that's definitely a nice little nuance. All right, we come to a stoplight. Turns green, we progress on through. We're going to have some road construction coming up here fairly soon on both the left and the right side of the road. Quite a bit of heavy road construction going on here. I'm going to take my sunglasses off for a second. I think we're nagged me there. And right now it's a little bit overcast, so we should be good with me not having to wear the sunglasses right now. So it did just nag me right there as we were hitting the road construction, and I had sunglasses on. So we'll see if taking off my sunglasses, which right now is actually fine. I mean, the sun is out, but it's a bit overcast. So quite frankly, I can get by fine without it. Now, as far as the speed limit, it is a 45 through here. We're going 40, which is fine. And I would say, especially with road construction, that would make sense that you might go a little bit slower than the stated speed limit. All right, making our turn. The road has been changed and averted a bit because of the road construction. So the vision-based camera system does a really good job of adapting to that, because this is not on Google Maps, obviously. All right, getting over to the left to get around this Chevy Silverado. Great job with that. Continued road construction and utility work ahead, but we're doing excellent with that. So yes, I am on a brand new version of the software. So today is day one with this new version. And so my understanding from reading the release notes on this software update, as well as some posts I've seen from big accounts on X. Oh, we got a car that pulls right out in front of us. This Kia Sorento. We react to it perfectly. Did not overreact, no heebie-jeebies. But we also gave them the space they needed to abruptly pull in front of us and not cause an accident. All right, we got a little tightness right here. We got a truck to our left that wants to pull through North Park. We've got a large semi to our right. We do excellent on that. All right, we're going to go underneath the bridge here after the traffic light, and we're gonna turn turn left onto the feeder road for 59 East Tex Freeway. We're going southbound. Great job, really nice tight turn, very smooth. Now I'm getting a quick roll up or down to adjust max speed. Press left or right to adjust driving profile. So that must be like a new prompt that comes up. And we'll talk about that here in a second too, with this new software update. But it's prompting me just to let me know that if I personally am not comfortable with the speed that automatic set speed offset is selecting for me, that I can manually adjust that with the scroll wheel. And we'll talk, like I said, we'll talk about that here in a second once we get up on the highway. So we're getting over to the left. Great job. Merge in with other traffic. We are now on the ramp to 59 East Tex Freeway southbound. And we will soon be seeing one of the new attributes of version 12.5.6.3. Get over to the left smoothly and confidently. You gotta continue to move. Okay, I'm already seeing it. I'm already seeing it. Yeah. Again, and we'll talk about this, but I've already seen like a major improvement just right there. Literally not even 15 seconds up on the highway. We are going 74 in a 65, which in the state of Texas is perfectly normal. And as you can see with the traffic around me, we're basically if you look at the leftmost two lanes, we are going along with traffic. Now we're going 76 in a 65. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so let me first tell you where we're going. So number one, where our destinations are for this first drive on version 12.5.6.3. Second, let me talk about some of the settings I've got on this new software version. And third, we'll talk about some of the improvements that I've already seen, and then we'll talk about improvements that we see along the way. But before I mention any of those three things, let me just also mention that ever since I took my sunglasses off, I haven't had any neck. So clearly the in-cabin camera, although you are absolutely allowed to wear sunglasses, and I've had drives where I've worn the sunglasses, it's clearly still picking up on the sunglasses, and the in-cabin camera is clearly still dialed up to 11 as it relates to that, which I said, which is absolutely fine, because it has not been that long that we have been on hands-free. So as we get further into this FSD journey, I am positive that that will be dialed down a bit, and that my sunglasses won't give it as many fits. I've tried a couple of different pair of sunglasses just to see if it's any different, and honestly I haven't noticed any difference whatsoever. So I think it's just, if it can't see your eyeballs, it's gonna nag you every once in a while. Now that being said, let me put some context around that. When I say it nags, that might be in an hour-long drive, I might get nagged a small handful of times, 3 or 4 times. That is nothing compared to when we were not hands-free, where you were getting nagged every minute or two. So let me just put all that into context. But while we're out here testing this first day of having 12.5.6.3, and while it's overcast, and so even though it's sunny out, it's 82 degrees, sunny, nice and warm, it is a bit overcast. All right, so let's talk. Well, first of all, before I talk about those 3 things I mentioned that I wanted to tell you about, let me just see how it acts. And we're going 78 and a 60. So we're going faster than the traffic to our right. And I'm looking to see, we do have a vehicle behind us. They're not tailgating us, but they are behind us. And so I just want to see how well, now we've got a car in front of us, so kind of hard to adjust to that, because we're basically going the same speed as the vehicles in front of us. So never mind. I was gonna say that since there's no cars in front of us, we were going about 79 and a 65 to see if it would get out of this lane. But the fact is we're actually having to slow down now. so we're the car now. That was so anyway, let me go back to those 3 things. First, the settings that I have on this new version, and I can't remember the order, but I do want to talk about the settings that I put on this new software version, the new attributes of this software version, and then what we're seeing. So the settings have changed a bit. There used to be like chill, normal, and assertive, and now they've changed it to chill, normal, and hurry up. Literally the name is hurry up. Historically I have had it set to assertive, and so staying with that, I have it set to hurry up. So we'll see what the release notes say. That hurry up basically means that you're gonna get into and out of traffic more assertively, or hurry up into and out of traffic, and that you will take opportunities more often. And so that's fairly consistent with what the assertive setting was, or at least what the nomenclature on that was. So be interesting to see if we see any differences there. It continues to have automatic set speed offset, which I was using before. I'm continuing to use automatic set speed offset. One of the interesting things now, though, is that you can set it to have a preference for how high above the stated speed limit. So if the traffic around you is going faster than the speed limit, you can set it to state how comfortable or not you are going a certain percentage speed over the speed limit. I set it to the max. The max is 50%. Now, don't go crazy here. Don't be, oh my God, 50%. So that is just your preference. It's uh-oh, front camera powering off. Let me power that back on. Not sure why that went off. All right, power that. Oh, camera's too hot. Uh-oh. So my camera got too hot. Let me take the battery out of it. Yeah, it is. Let me just take the battery out. Oh, that battery is hot. Woo! Lord. Yeah, the battery, man, I should have taken the battery out. Let's let that cool down a little bit, and then I'll turn the front camera back on. Sorry about that. Yeah, one of the things I'm thinking I'm going to need to do with this front camera, because obviously having it on the front windshield, it gets hotter than my middle camera, is that, make sure that, yeah, that one's fine, is that I may just need to bring the quality of that video down. So I've got my middle camera on 4K, and I've had that one on 4K as well, but I may need to bring the quality of that one down a bit. I'll see if, I'm sure you can combine 1080 video with 4K. I just don't know for sure. But obviously I had the battery in, and I've got it set on 4K, so it got overheated. So I'm gonna let that cool down a little bit. Apologies about that I won't have the front camera there for a little while. But let's just let that cool down, and then once it's cooled down, I'll turn it back on and start filming there again. So again, apologies. So going back to the automatic set speed offset, yeah, it allows you to go up to a 50% offset. And so what that means is, if the traffic around you is going 40% higher than the stated speed limit, it is willing to match that up to 50% over, but it will not go 51% or higher, or 50.1% or higher. But it will go up to that. So if you're in a 55 mile per hour stated speed limit zone, but the traffic around you is going 75, well, it's going to go 75, because, do the math here, but, you know, that's less than 50% of the, over the stated speed limit. And so it'll match that. I like that. But it will only do that if the traffic around you is also doing that. So if you're in a 55 mile per hour speed zone and the traffic around you is all going 65 in a 55, it'll match that 65, but it won't go above that. So it's not like it's always going to go 50% over. So that, just wanted to make that clear. It's going to match it's going to try to match the traffic around you, based on your settings. So wanted to clear that up. And I think those are the main attributes that I have dialed into this new software version. So again, just to put it bluntly, I've got it dialed up to 11. On a scale of 0 to 10 of how high or low you can make the settings in Tesla Full Self-Driving Supervised with version 12.5.6.3, I'm at 11.5. So I've got it turned all the way up so that we can see what this software can do. So those are the settings. So let's talk about the new software update itself. Is that the biggest change is that they've gone end-to-end neural network on the highway, just like they had on the city stack. So previously, on the previous version, we were on the neural network, the end-to-end neural nets for the city stack. So anytime you were on any road other than a highway or freeway, you were completely on neural nets. You were going on end-to-end vision-based learning, deep machine learning. So basically just the way a human brain works is the way a neural network is being trained with H100 NVIDIA chips, these training chips. And then within each Tesla is what's called an inference chip, which is also, I believe, from NVIDIA. That may be NVIDIA or Tesla's own Dojo chips. But anyway, so what they do is they use a lot of NVIDIA chips to do training back in Palo Alto and Austin. And they have neural networks, these end-to-end neural networks that they train up with millions and billions of videos of the best human drivers, and they train those, up that neural network, just like a human brain. And then what they'll do is they'll then put an inference chip into each Tesla, and that inference chip will then run all of the software that's been trained on all that training data. I'm really summarizing this a lot, and this is a Marine jarhead with absolutely zero engineering or software experience or intellect telling you this, but that is my highly summarized pseudoscience version of how a neural net works and what's in the Tesla vehicle. So the reason I say all that is on previous versions, that was only being run on the city stack. Whenever you got on the highway or a freeway, it would revert back to the old C++ hard coding, the if this then that type of coding, and could be a little bit robotic. Well, now this version is completely end-to-end, just like the city stack. So no matter what, 100% of the places we go, we are now on the end-to-end neural network. We are on vision-based, photons in, controls out, human brain type neural network driving. And what that means, that is a huge leap forward. That means every single mile we drive, every inch we drive on this highway or these city streets is getting fed back to Tesla. And they're using that for training data. And it's only going to get better and better and better and better and better. You get my gist? ... And at some point, this is going to be better than any human driver that has ever existed on human Earth. Sort of like the way when you try to play chess against a computer now. You just don't. Or against the best computer, I should say, right? How? So that is the biggest improvement for this software version. So I would say this is definitely the third big, huge update I've gotten. first big update was going from V11 to V12. The first time I got to get a taste of the neural net. The second biggest big update was going from hands, getting nagged to hands-free. I would put this is the third big update, getting the end-to-end on everything, including the highway. That is huge. So, if I were to rank those three, this may be the second biggest. Obviously, going to neural nets was the biggest, going from V11 to V12. But, all right, we're getting over. Let me stop this again. I forgot. Just tell you where we're going. We're going to downtown Houston, and then we're going to Rice University, and then we're coming home. And the reason we're doing that is I wanted to see how things go on the highway, and then take it out to Rice U, which is a fairly complex area, and then come on home. So a lot of highway and a lot of complex city driving. So we are getting on the exit to go to downtown Houston. We've obviously been on 59 East Tex Freeway for a while. It did perfectly there. There was really nothing to talk about. So now we are getting off the highway and getting into downtown Houston. And the specific place I have it programmed to is the Toyota Center. So once we get close to the Toyota Center, I'll exit it out of that and have it take us to Rice University. But let's let it get us closer to Toyota Center first. So we're coming into downtown. And we are going to take a right. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm probably going to go through this traffic light. It has just been doing fantastic. It was great up on the freeway. It was the speed settings it was doing. And I apologize. I know I was talking about all the preamble stuff, about the new software, the settings and everything. So I didn't really talk about the drive as much. And I promise on the way back, I will talk about the drive entirely. But quite frankly, it was just smooth. It was just absolutely perfect. So there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. And we'll see if my front camera has cooled down a bit so I can turn that back on. All right, we got flashing reds here. Let's see how we do with these flashing reds. All right, about to be our turn at these flashing reds. We're pulling up. All right, I'm gonna give it some help. It did not want to go through those flashing reds for some reason. That's interesting. It did not want to progress through. It was treating the flashing reds like a red light. So I had to intervene there. Definitely need to get that back to Tesla. So that's interesting, because on previous versions, on previous V12 versions, it was doing pretty good with flashing reds. Now granted, this is my first drive, so we haven't let this marinate yet, but on those were clearly flashing red lights, so you treat it like a four-way stop, but it was treating it like it was a stoplight, and we were at the stoplight. So get that back. I'm gonna go ahead and, once we get around this straight truck, I'm gonna exit out of the Toyota Center. Let's edit trip. If I can do that, if it'll let me do that. There we go. And now, instead of actually trying to go into the Toyota Center garage, here, look, yeah, obviously had my eye off the road there for a second to do that, so it gave me a nag. But again, that one's understandable because I had my eyes off the road for a good 4 or 5 seconds there. So yeah, we did have an intervention at blinking red lights there. So have that to provide back to Tesla AI. Again, this is my very first drive. You are along with me for, I didn't even go take it out this morning. I had the software downloaded last night, and I didn't even take it out this morning to go run any errands or anything. This is it. So it has not had zero time to, it is marinating right now for the first time. So good to know that we had that intervention there. I also did not want to give it time to try to figure it out, because I had vehicles directly behind me, so did not want to be that individual. But quite frankly, you can tell on previous versions when it was having trouble figuring out blinking reds, you could tell that it was working its way through it. I really couldn't feel it trying to work its way through it on that one. And we got I don't know why we got the red hands there. That's interesting. It gave me the red hands to take over. So we've had an intervention, and then we've had a red hands disengagement on this first drive. But again, like I said, this is the first one, and I wanted to take it on the highway and into the city streets. So let's, you just gotta do all of it. All right. We're about to take a right turn. Yeah, there was nobody around us either. Oh, I thought we were about to take a right turn there. Guess we are not. I'm taking a right turn here. All right, coming up to a stoplight. Once we get up to the stoplight, I'm gonna check my settings just real quick so it doesn't, let me just make sure I've got, let me see. Got that set? Yep. Okay. And let me do this as well so that I can, there we go, that one. And then bring it back over. There we go. Okay. And also, I like, for me personally, on the navigation visual, I like to see it showing it the direction we're going from our own eyes, and not necessarily north-south. So I think the preset is to show it north, south, east, west. So regardless of which way you are visually seeing it, or that's a redundant, but which way you're seeing it, it's gonna show it north, south, east, west. I like to see the navigation, as it is through my own eyes. So I changed that up. I wanted to check on the navigation again. Like I said, this is the very first drive, so I'm still making sure I've got all my settings correct. I did double check them before we left, but I just noticed that I had the navigation button wasn't toggled, and I was wondering about that when we didn't take that right turn there. And sure enough, I was right. So one of the things I would tell people is when you get a new software version update, go back through all of your settings, not just your autopilot, your FSD settings. Go to your navigation settings and any other thing that you rely on quite a bit during a drive, and just make sure that you've got that set the way you want to, because for some reason my navigation button wasn't toggled, and yeah, not sure why. Probably because of, like I said, just going to a brand new software update. All right, so we went to downtown, had a couple of issues in downtown. We were good to go on the highway. Highway was great. got into downtown Houston. I had to intervene for some blinking red lights. And then for some odd reason, it gave us the red hands for a second there on that left turn with literally nobody around us. So not exactly sure what that was for, but again, I was able to put it back into FSD pretty much instantaneously. Yeah, a lot of times when I get those red hands, I can tell you the truth, I have no clue what they're for. It's just the software wanting you to take over, and like you can see in that case, it was literally for a split second. Some of them I can understand, like when you get inclement weather, like really bad weather, it'll have you take over for a few seconds just till it gets its bearings. That's absolutely fine. All right, we're getting off on Fannin Street. Yeah, and I'm not giving it an easy drive for its first drive. I mean, we went downtown Houston, and now we're going to Rice University, and then coming home. So we're kind of putting it through the stripe, and we're doing this at 12. It's oh, we got some more. Well, these aren't blinking reds. This is a railroad track, so we probably won't have blinking reds going through here. But yeah, and we're doing this around 12:30 in the afternoon. So we'll expect some, we've had a little bit, not too much, but a little bit of traffic around us. And we'll should have some lunch hour traffic. Let me see if my camera come back on now. All right. And then, all right. Hopefully it doesn't overheat. All right, continuing on through, getting out of downtown Houston area and getting into the museum district here soon. Doing a great job here. All right, very smooth there. So yeah, I would say so far into this drive, it was amazing. And we'll talk about it more. I know I was doing all the preamble stuff on the way into downtown, so I didn't really talk as much about that drive, but it was extremely smooth. All right, we're at Main Street. We're going to come up to the stop sign here and then take a left. We've got an unprotected left, so we creep up a little bit. Nobody coming, so we go. Great job. Oh, we're gonna hit the fountain. Nice, so we'll get to see how it does going through the roundabout. This is definitely probably the largest roundabout in the city of Houston. The Herman Square fountain. Excellent, so we'll get to see how we do there. We are going through the museum district right now. Like I said, it is about 12:45 in the afternoon, so sun is definitely out now. When I was talking about it being overcast, that's kind of burned away a bit now. So we've got the Museum of Fine Arts directly in front of us to our right. Well, it's also the Museum of Fine Arts to the left. So the Museum of Fine Arts is on both sides of the road here. Which one? That's also Museum of Fine Arts there. Yes, the Museum of Fine Arts is pretty big. Pretty much this whole section of Main Street right here. Got Hotel Zaza right there. That's one of those nice boutique hotels that people like to stay at when they come visit the museum district. Beautiful. Love to go eat brunch there sometimes. All right, we're about to go through the roundabout we go in. Great job, extremely smooth. Got traffic trying to get out in front of us. Traffic stopped to the left of us. We handled that perfectly. Awesome job. Into and out of the roundabout. And we are now in the Rice, we've gone out of the museum district and now we're in Rice University area. And we are going to go on to the Rice University campus. So we'll be taking a right into Rice University here in about a half a mile. So yeah, as far as the drive goes, it was perfect. And when we got downtown, we had a little bit of a comfort intervention I needed to do at blinking red lights. And then we had the red hands thrown up at us for a split second. So when we put it into the bucket of critical interventions and non-critical interventions, technically I've had 2 non-critical interventions at this point. Again, the red hands, I just don't get it, but you know, it is what it is. All right, we got a bike rider to our right, so we need to be cautious with him. And we are going to need to get in front of the bike rider so that we can go, and there we go. We get around the bike rider very smoothly, cautiously, and then get over to the right just as smoothly and cautiously. And then we're going to take a right, I believe, up at this light, yes. And that will take us into Rice University. And we'll just do kind of a loop-de-loop around Rice. Beautiful campus. Obviously, I won't be able to show you all of the Rice University campus because we're in a car and you can't drive on the grounds. But it is a gorgeous campus. Gorgeous. All right. About to make our right. Got a school bus right there and a median that we got to get around. All right, good job. I'm gonna edit the trip real quick. Okay. Let's see where we're gonna go now. Yep, there we go. Do a nice little loop around Rice University. Let me get my head back to the front windshield, especially with so many kids walking around. I'm sure that the software will all right, come to a complete stop. Got vehicles coming, got people. Oh, we got somebody. There you go, got a young student. There you go, young man. Obviously, on a college campus, nobody has a right-of-way more than a college kid. All right, now we're just going to do a nice little loop around the campus. See how it does. Okay, we got a stop sign going in front of Lovett Hall. Beautiful. It's just gorgeous. All right, we've got a stop sign coming up. Progress on through. Got kids to our right, standing and walking and talking and pontificating. All right, we got some more kids to our left and our right. None of them are coming through the crosswalks as of yet. Got a work truck to the right. We get around that. It's gorgeous. Yeah, a lot of kids out walking. It's lunch hour. It's 12:45 on the head. So probably a lot of kids walking to and from lunch, out of class. Maybe I got a break. I'll tell you what, these are some smart kids here. I can tell you that. Getting into Rice. All right, we're going through a crosswalk, but nobody was going through it at the time. Got a scooter, kid on a scooter directly in front of us. Come to a stop sign. Got a kid going through a crosswalk ahead of us. And got some, how are y'all doing? Got some kids walking through the crosswalk now. Coming from lunch or going to class or all of the above. We progress on through. Great job. All right, here in a second, I'm gonna bring my screen back up so that I can get ready to edit our trip. Because I've got us going to the Tudor Field House so that we could do the loop, but I actually don't want to go into the field house. I'm sure those young ladies would not appreciate that. All right, once we make that circle around, let me just go ahead and get it ready. Trip. All right, we got a 4-way stop here. And we progress on through. We get over to the left a bit. Oh, we're in the wrong lane. We are in the wrong lane. I had to take over there because it got into the wrong lane. All right, let me navigate to Lovett Hall. Yeah, so that was a critical disengagement right there, because had I not disengaged, it got into the wrong lane. It was treating that like both those lanes were our lanes when that was a 2-way. All right. Getting around the work crew there. Like I said, this is the first drive on the new software. I'm putting it through, you know what, now, just so you know, we are on a 1-way now. So we're good to go here. So it's a first drive. Sometimes you got to let these things marinate a bit. And you know, like I said, I've taken it onto the Rice University campus, which is, you know, not similarly laid out to what you would see, you know, outside of a college campus, right? They have their own rules on here. So it's interesting. Now we're back to a 1-way. So we're perfectly fine. And we are on the exact same loop. But for just that little 1/10 of a mile there, it went to a 2-way. And Tesla FSD did not pick up on the fact that that was a 2-way for a bit there. But you got to do that. You got to be able to read those signs. And all right, the work truck, we got a straight truck getting over to the right. We go around it. Very good. All right, and then once we get up to Lovett Hall, I will exit out of that and we'll head on back home. All right, we're going through a crosswalk. We slowed down a bit because of a kid with a bicycle. All right, let me go ahead and edit this trip. Oh, well, let me pay attention here to that young lady. And let's program it to go home now. Come up to a stop sign here. All right, we got a bus in front of us. Wait on the bus. Yep. Oh, I guess that's a bus that gets them around campus. It's not a huge campus, though. Or maybe it takes them to the dorms. I think that they have some off-site dorms. All right. Bus is moving out, so we continue on. Let's see here. We are going to continue on the loop here for about another half mile, and then we'll head back into the Rice University neighborhood area and then matriculate our way back up to the freeway. And once we're on the freeway, we'll talk about some of the stuff we saw downtown and here on the Rice campus. Driving very smoothly right now, doing really, really good around the kids. Yeah, we kind of slowed down a little bit right there real quick, but we had a young lady coming up to the crosswalk. We were already midway through, so we got a young man going through the crosswalk. How are you doing, young man? Doing great. It's doing great around the kids. Absolutely fantastic. It just did not recognize that little 1/10 of a mile stretch where it went from one way to two way. I think we may go past that again. I want to see like what the signs were for that. Although at a certain point you're gonna recognize it because the lines. I'm assuming that those lines had to be like a yellow line instead of a white line at that point. I'm assuming that's the case. We'll see. But I would like to do some forensic analysis on that because it's been a while. All right, we got a young man going across. Absolutely, young man. Man, it's just doing fantastic with these kids. Just absolutely fantastic. So far on the campus, as far as maneuvering around cars and dealing with the young people, and again, it is 12:53 in the afternoon right now. I mean, this is going to be the most amount of kids you're going to have walking around here until probably 3 or 4 in the afternoon. When all classes, most of the main classes are probably getting out. All right, going to continue on here. Going past the rec center and the workout area. I can see folks in there on their treadmills. I don't know why, with this beautiful campus, why you'd want to be on a tread. But hey, everybody's got their, this is a beautiful campus to walk around. All right, let me see, do we get up to that point? No, I think we're going to get off before this one-way becomes a two-way. I'd really be curious. Yeah, it is. You can see it right there. It's like a little 10th mile. Oh, absolutely, ma'am. Go right ahead. Good job. There again. Man, FSD is, I'm sitting here trying to figure out on my screen. I had to just, let me pay attention to the screen too. So yeah, you can see right there, it's like a little tint. There it is right there. It's like it did not recognize, and it definitely goes to a yellow line. So it should have recognized, and you can see it's not even a 10th mile. It's literally like 100 feet of road there that goes from one way to two way. And it just did not pick up on that. But there is definitely a double yellow line. So we, from a forensic standpoint, we got that answered. So it should have definitely picked up that there was a double yellow line and immediately gotten over to the right. All right, we're going to take a right up here, but a lot of pedestrians running through here on the jogging trail. Folks on scooters, cars oncoming. So we wait. Great job. Beautiful neighborhood, by the way. Oh my gosh, if you want to see some of the most gorgeous homes, and not just Houston, but probably the country. If you're in Houston, come drive around the Rice University area and River Oaks, and you will see some of the most gorgeous houses you've ever seen. All right, we have a four-way stop up here. Continuing on our turn. We are going to be on, I believe this is, is this Rice University Boulevard? I forget, my bad, I should have, yes, this is Rice Boulevard. So we are on Rice University Boulevard. We'll be on here for about another half mile. We are going to kind of curve around here to the right a bit, because it does, Rice University and Sunset split off right there. We're going to stay on Rice, keep going through, and then once we get up to Main Street, we're going to get over Main Street to the other side and then take a left onto Main. Got our left blinker on. We're getting into the left turning lane. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's make sure that we're going into the right lane here. So we don't want to go directly in front where you see the do not enter signs, because that would be going into an oncoming lane. But we do want to go that direction and then hang an immediate left. So let's see how Tesla full self-driving supervised version 12.5.6.3 does with its decision making here. But right now we are at a stoplight, so the only decision to make is zero. Stop. Do nothing. That's the decision. And like I said, oh, here we go. We got the left turn. Okay, good job. Turn left onto Main Street. Very smooth and stayed within the lane. All right, we're going to go back through the roundabout at the Herman Square Park. This time we're going to be in the rightmost lane, because we're going to be taking a right out of the roundabout immediately. We got some traffic to our left we got to contend with. Got a school bus pulling out and a Ford F-150 immediately in front of us. We need to get behind them. There we go. But now there's a bit of congestion because of the train. That's okay. All right, school bus starting to move up a bit. We move up as well. There's Hotel Zaza in front of us. Like I said, beautiful hotel. It's, you know, definitely what you would call a boutique hotel, and just gorgeous. It's an old building. I can't remember. It was something else before Hotel Zaza. So it's an old hotel, this site. Now I'm sure they've renovated it quite a bit. The rooms have definitely been renovated, but it's an old hotel. And great place to have brunch on a weekend. Come out to Herman Park, to the museum district, go have brunch at Hotel Zaza. Great experience. Very bougie. All right, we're turning left onto, what are we on here? I don't even know. All right, we're doing a great job. Now see, oh, we must be on Main Street. No, we're on San Jacinto. Okay, got the train coming through here. So we need to stay out of the train area. Let's see how we do with that. And we've got the train coming up behind us, directly to our right, giving us a little honk. Yep, just letting everybody know. So we are back into the museum district, and as well, it's kind of the museum district / medical center area. All right, got the train to our right. We're getting a stoplight. And there goes the train. And we will be on San Jacinto for about a half mile. And then we'll get back up on 59 East Tex Freeway. See, I got a pretty busy intersection here at Benz and San Jacinto. Just on the outskirts of downtown, where the museum district and downtown Houston intersect. A lot of school buses around here, but that's pretty normal. As you might imagine, it's quite frequently probably, you know, we used to call them field day. What was it? Field days? What was it when we were back in school? I think we called them field days, where you know, the school would take you somewhere. Well, the museum district here in Houston is obviously one of the largest, you know, areas where schools will take kids on a day out. The second biggest one's probably NASA. So we've got an amazing museum district here in Houston. Like I've said, probably the second most popular museum district in the country, behind New York. And worldwide, it may be third. I mean, obviously Paris, you know, I think I want to say Paris is number one. I think it's ahead of New York, but Paris and New York, obviously. But Houston's, I mean, and anybody that's been to it, even if they're from out of town, they'll concur with me. The Houston Museum District is top notch, just absolutely amazing. And it's huge. There's just tons of museums. So we're about to get over to the right here because we are going to be taking a right to get onto the road that takes us to 59 East Tex Freeway. I think we got to get over one more. Are we going to be able to do it? We had to, let me give a little wave to the vehicle behind us. I'm not so sure they really wanted to give us much, but Tesla FSD just kind of took it at a certain point. So, but you got to do that. I mean, people get pretty assertive. I mean, maybe not, well, not maybe. Definitely not as much as in LA traffic, but pretty much any large downtown center, you're going to have situations like that. All right, we are on the ramp to get on to 59 East Tex Freeway going north. We're going to need to get over into the next lane because this will be an exit lane. We do that very well. I don't actually, yeah, let me give a wave to them. I don't think they probably deserve a wave, but I'm going to give them one anyway. Yeah, I'm telling you. There you go. Get on over. We're giving, I love it. We give them room, but we don't just stop for them. We give them a gap. Say, look, come on and take it. But at the same time, we keep on moving. We're like, we're going to give you a little bit of a gap. Go ahead and take it. But if you ain't going to take it, we're going to keep moving. Yeah, we're going to need to... I'm trying to remember. I think that we can get... Yeah, we're going to get over one more lane. I forget if that lane could go there too. But nonetheless... This is the lane we chose. Get in behind this cement truck. Or actually, it's not a cement truck. It's more of like a rocks, gravel truck. Got a little congestion here. But that's pretty normal as you're getting out of downtown. And you got the fork between Interstate 45 and 59 East Tex Freeway. Oh, thought the truck was going to get over to the right, but then the last second they changed their mind. We handled that very well. Yeah, a lot of congestion here. Like I said, this is at the fork within downtown where you got 45 North, 59 East Tex Freeway. Oh man, look at this. We are doing, this is fantastic. I mean, this is definitely not minimal lane changes. So that's what it's basically, it is assertively choosing the best lane to be in from a time perspective. Wow, okay. Wow. We got a truck that's wanting to get over from 45 to 59. It's getting in right behind us. It had wanted to take that slot we took, and we got there first. So, sorry about that, dude. Get FSD on your Peterbilt, and you'd have gotten over here quicker. Of course, I don't want to be playing footsies with too many Peterbilts. But we did have the right, we were there first. So. right, we are continuing to progress along to get up to 59. We're going past downtown Houston right now from the east side. Yeah, a lot of traffic right now, but that's pretty normal. It's about 1:15 in the afternoon. So, a lot of lunchtime traffic. But again, that's what I wanted to do on this very first drive. I wanted to test all the bells and whistles, and I wanted to take it into downtown Houston and to the museum district and Rice University. So we did find some issues, but what I will say is I'm gonna hold off judgment on those particular issues that I think we had 3 of them come up. Since this is the first drive and we haven't had a chance to let the software marinate yet, so we'll just see. Excuse me while I take a little sip of my water here. And yes, I do have that Mio flavoring in my water. I like to add a little bit of that. I've been talking so much, I need it. Starting to pick up some speed. So the 3 issues that we know, and all of them were in downtown or on the Rice campus. So the first one was when we were in downtown, the blinking red lights. It just wasn't going through the blinking reds. The second one, it threw up the red hands for a split second. That's not a huge issue. That's something that, you know, every once in a while the system will throw that out at you and want you to take over. Again, we're still in supervised mode, so it'll do that every once in a while. There were no other vehicles around us, so at the end of the day, all it's going to do is just pull over. So those were 2 non-critical interventions. But then we did have 1 critical intervention on the Rice University campus where, as you can see, there's 1 big loop that goes around the entirety of the campus. And for 99% of that loop, it's a one-way. But there's that 100-foot section of the loop where it actually does have a 2-way. I guess there's traffic coming out of Tudor Fieldhouse that they have a lane for them to come out of there and then turn on to Rice University Boulevard by the stadium eventually. And the software just didn't pick up on that. And I'm glad we drove past it again, because we did confirm there was in fact a double yellow line there. So the vision-based software should have picked up on that double yellow line and gotten over to the right prior to that line, but it didn't. And so I disengaged, took over, and got us back over into the correct lane. I'm going to count that as a critical intervention. And the reason why I count it as a critical intervention is the litmus test isn't whether you'd get into an injury type accident, because obviously we wouldn't have there. But had the vehicle continued to go forward at the stated speed limit, we'd have had a quote-unquote fender bender of some sort, right? We could have. We don't know for sure, but we definitely could have. and we would have been in the fault. So my current understanding of a quote-unquote critical intervention is getting into a vehicle accident. If you did not disengage, well, this guy's getting pretty close here. If you did not disengage FSD, could you get into a vehicle accident of any sort, regardless of whether you're going 5 miles an hour or 85 miles an hour? And the answer to that one, if that is the litmus test, is yes, we would have. Granted, it would have been on the low end of that, and quite possibly could have just, at the low speeds you're going around Rice University, quite frankly, what would have highly likely happened? Well, what highly likely happened is it just wasn't going to go forward and just piss everybody off. Like, what the hell are you doing in this lane? That's the most likely situation. But even had it gone forward, yeah, it would have gone forward at like 5 miles an hour and we would have gotten into a fender bender. So nonetheless, I'm going to count that as a critical intervention. So what that means is that we need to see 5.6.3 a little bit more. We need to see it marinate a bit for those 3 matters. Quite honestly, the red hands, I'm not, that one, I mean, it definitely counts as a non-critical intervention, but that one bothers me the least, because that stuff, again, that's just the system, the software system throwing up something. At a certain point, all that's going to be dialed out. So that one, I probably care the least about. Then the next one would be the flashing reds, because it wasn't having issues on flashing reds on 12.5.4.2 or 12.5.4.1 before that, or even 12.3.6. It wasn't. Now, it was having issues with flashing reds on version 11, but pretty much version 12, once we got to 12.3.6, flashing reds were kind of good to go. And so that's kind of interesting that we had a little, you know, we weren't moving on them there. But again, I want to give it time. That's one drive. So you can't do statistics based on one data input. So we'll give it some more time. Critical interventions, there is no statistics on that. That's a 101. So that is our first critical intervention on version 12.5.6.3. Now, the other context I'll put into that is I did put it through the ringer today. I didn't just, hey, let's go to the convenience store. Hey, let's go to HEB. Or hey, let's go to my wife's restaurant, boba shop. And I took it downtown into the museum district in Rice University. By the way, it is doing absolutely fantastic on the highway right now. Oh, there we go. Got a Model Y to our right. Nice one too. I like that black color. All right, we're getting into the passing lane to go a little faster. And like I said before, it has been selecting all of our speeds because I have it on automatic set speed offset. And it is completely end-to-end on the highway here. So it's doing everything. And I mean everything. That's interesting. It's showing the mode we're in, the hurry mode. I did not see that until now, that it's got the mode that we're in. And so that's the other thing. I mentioned that you can override whatever speed it's got you going at. Now granted, it couldn't override it right now because we have a vehicle in front of us, but say you're on the freeway and the automatic set speed offset has you going 75 and a 65. If you want to go faster, you can manually override that with the scroll wheel. But the other thing you can manually change is your setting. So hurry, normal, or chill, and you go to that same scroll wheel and you go left, right. You click it left or click it right, and it'll change your mode to either chill or normal. I'm going to stay in hurry. What else is... So we're up on the highway now. It's doing fantastic. We're going along with traffic. We're in the fastest lane on 59 East X Freeway, but traffic isn't going that much faster than the set speed limit right now, simply because there is so much traffic. All right, we're starting to speed up here. Let's see how we do. We're staying up with traffic. And again, I've got the automatic set speed offset to plus 50%. So if traffic is going 50% faster than the set speed limit, we'll match it up to 50%. So in a 60, well, I doubt, that's a good question, because I think FSD cannot go faster than 85 miles per hour. That's a good question. I wonder if anybody's seen that with 12.5.6.3 yet. So on previous versions, the fastest you could even go was 85. I wonder if FSD will take you faster than 85 if the rest of traffic is going faster than 85. And I'm telling you, don't laugh, because there are some highways and freeways in Texas where traffic is going 90, 95 miles an hour. So I've been on some highways where I've been going 85 and I was in the slow lane. All right. We're continuing to progress on through. We're going, excuse me, we're going 73 in a 60 mile per hour zone. The other thing I've noticed here is that it's getting the speed limits right 100% of the time. So I haven't seen it mess up with the speed limit signs. On the way home, we'll check for that as well. So we're speeding up a little bit more. We're going 74 in a 60. Got traffic up ahead of us. We're basically matching the traffic directly ahead of us while also leaving some comfortable car links. So we're perfect right now. I wouldn't have the vehicle do anything different. All right, the traffic ahead of us is slowing down a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything different here. Now, that being said, might there be vehicles behind me that still might try to rush out and get in front of me because to them I'm leaving too big of a gap, and so they're the tailgaters of the world, that they not only do they not leave gaps, car links, they don't like other people leaving car links. But what they forget is we're not all tied together like a train. And if somebody has to throw on their brakes suddenly, that's how devastating, fatal wrecks happen on the freeway, is by not doing that. All right, we're now going 71 and a 60. We're leaving some car lengths in front of us. We're going by some fairly large semis, so we're being a little cautious going around them. Speeding up a little bit. Going 72 and a 60. Speeding up a little more, we're going 73. Yeah, it's being very human-like with this. Now, we do have a vehicle in front of us, but obviously we've got plenty of car lengths between us and them. We're going 75 and a 65 now, and it registered the speed limit sign correctly. Now, the vehicle in front of us just tapped their brakes a second ago. I'm not sure why. Now we're going 76 and a 65. This is beautiful. Now, there is one zone up here I want to check out where every once it got better on version 12.5.4 when I went to 12.5.4.1, but the HOV lane over here, it has different speed limits than the main freeway. And there's certain places where they throw up different speed limit signs, and the software would pick those up and think that that's the speed limit here. And on previous versions, it would start slowing down to that. Then on 12.5.4.1 and 12.5.4.2, it alleviated a lot of that. So, but it would still pick up the wrong speed limit sign, but it would not slow down. It would stay with traffic. So I was like, well, I'm fine with it. Even if it's picking up the wrong speed limit sign, as long as it's staying with traffic, I can care. All right, here we go. We're going past one of them. See that speed limit 45? And we did not pick that up. Awesome. All right, we got another one coming up here. Speed limit 45. Good job. We do not pick that up. Those used to get picked up. And then, like I said, on 12.5.4.1 and 12.5.4.2, that seemed to, it was still picking those up, but it was staying with traffic. And now it's not even picking those up. It's doing it 100% correctly. And man, the speed selection on the freeway here is just absolutely amazing. Wow. It is just, so the one, let's see. Got a few more things while we're up here on the freeway. I do want to see, there's a couple more spots where it would pick up the wrong speed limit sign. So I want to see how it does there. And then let's see, that's what I'm talking about. So even though I'm staying with traffic and the car ahead of me, and and Tesla FSD is leaving a safe amount of car lengths, other cars, they're just not going to do that. They want to tailgate. All right, I think we got another one. Yeah, this one right here would always, okay, we got that. It's picking it up. So, shit, unfortunately, it did pick up a wrong one. And then it's going to go back to the right one there. But it picked up one of the 45s over there. But, as you notice, it didn't slow down. It stayed with traffic. But it did pick up the wrong speed limit sign directly to our left. But it only picked it up once this time. Let's see. I think there was one more spot that it would occasionally do it through this stretch. Yeah, there's like a 5-mile stretch here on East Tex where it would just pick up bad, or not bad, because it's the right speed limit sign for them, not for us. But it would pick that up and think it's the speed limit sign for us too. I think there's one more. And then the next thing I want to see is like how we do getting off on exits. Like the smoothness of that. Definitely for me, it was getting off on exits fine on previous version 12 iterations. But a little bit robotic, a little bit mechanical, so I'll be interested to see how it feels getting off there. Yeah, we're doing great. We're going along with traffic. I mean, I wouldn't do anything different here. Zero. And we got a slower car in front of us. So now we're going to get over to the right. Now, I don't know if we're getting over to the right because of that slower car or because our exit's in 1.5 miles. It may be, I think it's probably because of our exit. So we're getting over for the exit sooner. That was at about 1 3/4 mile, if that was the reason it was getting over. I like that. It's getting over for the exit sooner. Yeah, we're gonna get off on the North Park Drive exit here in about 1 mile. Somebody's got their left blinker to get, and instead we get over here. All right, but now we're gonna have to work our way back over. Whoa, okay, this is gonna be really, really interesting. Is we have gone all the way back over to the left lane, and we gotta get all the way back over to the right in 1/2 mile. I'm gonna stay quiet here for a second and see if it can do this. All right, made it over 2. We got to get over 2 more, and you've got 0.1 mile. Holy crap. Wow. 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 Now, let me say this before I completely applaud the software on that, because that was amazing. But let me raise my hand first and say we were 1 mile out from our exit. I didn't need to get around those handful of slow vehicles. Granted, they were slowing us down. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I am on hurry mode. Maybe that's just part of it. If I'm going to be on hurry mode and all the bells and whistles, maybe that's just part of it. You're going to go B to the W. And it got us back over. It just knew it could do it. So that is, wow, yeah. That is really impressive. Really impressive. So yeah, my grade on the highway, how well it's doing on highways and freeways, A++, 5 gold stars. All right, come to the stoplight. So yeah, freeways and highways, A++, 5 gold stars. Flashing red lights, we've only gotten 1 of them so far. And so I don't want to give it a grade. I haven't, like, I've had plenty of highway to give it a grade. I mean, we were just on the Houston freeways for, I don't know the exact mileage, but, you know, a good 70 to 80 miles worth of Houston, Texas freeways at lunch hour. So I got enough there to give it a grade. The flashing reds downtown, we've only seen flashing reds one time on 12.5.6.3, and it didn't pass the test on that one. But you don't ever give somebody a one-question test. So I'll withhold on that one, but we have a data point. We have our first data point, and it did not do well with that flashing red. And then not getting over to the right at Rice University when the one-way turned into a two-way. It did not pick up on the double yellow line and get over. So, got to get that fixed. Got to recognize those double yellow lines. So the only context I will give to that one, well, let me start out and say, in my book, clearly that was a critical intervention. So let's just leave that. I'm going to put some qualifiers and context around it, but just so people, don't throw the Tesla fanboy, Tesla bull thing out at me, which I am. I'm all of those. but I am going to throw some qualifiers out there for that one. Some of them I already threw out there. We were literally not moving. So for me to put a critical intervention on something that was going 0 miles per hour, we're at the lowest end of critical intervention. But I did need to intervene, and had it moved forward, it could have caused an accident. I don't think it would have moved forward. It saw the car in front of us, and it wasn't moving. All right, we're slowing down a bit there, let that car through. We're gonna need to make a right here. We got a semi directly in front of us, but it's moving out. Oh, good. That semi was probably here on Knox Street. Man, very good turn. Wow. That was excellent. All right. Actually, I want to see how 12.5.6.3 does at this railroad intersection, because we have light fixtures up here, but the lights haven't been turned on yet. So technically, everybody's been treating it like they don't exist. There was one time on 12.5.4.2 where it was treating it like the lights were already there and that it had a stoplight. So let's just see if we treat it properly and disregard these light fixtures. So right now we got oncoming traffic. Right? So we know it's not treating it like a four-way stop. That's good. Because if it did, we would be going head first into oncoming traffic that has the right of way. So we've still got oncoming traffic this way, but none that way. Let's see what we do. Oh, we still got oncoming traffic. It's creeping up a little bit, but we still got oncoming traffic. All right, we're gonna have to wait a little bit here. But we'll just see if I need to intervene. We'll just see how it does with these light fixtures they're clearly there, but they're just not operational. In fact, it shows a stoplight right there. All right, but we treat it properly. All right, good job. We did that one correctly. Good job. But it's interesting, I was looking on the UI, looking on the screen, and it showed a light fixture there. So it's clearly picking up on that. God, Porter, Texas, please get out and turn those lights on. How, I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming it takes longer to actually get the light fixture installed than it does to just flip the switch on the lights. Put a light, whatever. I mean, I don't know. How the hell do I know? I'm not a civil engineer, but those have been there a week now. Turn them on. But fortunately for us, it looks like 12.5.6.3 treated that absolutely the right way. You treat it like it doesn't exist yet. All right, we are going 31 in a 30 on a small country road with no good discernible lane markings. and lots of video data, at least from me, being fed back to Tesla with tons of critters running back and forth. In fact, there's some critters right there. Got some ducks immediately to our left, about 10 feet away from the car. We handled those well. Be interesting to see if it picked up on the ducks. It's too late now. And we're going 33 and a 30. Starting to speed up a little bit as we get past those residential areas. But the context I wanted to give is, yeah, when that happened, we were going 0 miles an hour on Rice University. We were stopped. So for all intents and purposes, the Tesla recognized that it was wrong and it stopped. So kind of hard to create an accident when you're not moving, but I had to disengage. Like, it wasn't going to do it on its own, right? It wasn't going to, I mean, who knows? It wasn't going to correct itself. And so I disengaged to get it back over. Secondly, it's on a campus where we all know, we've all been to college campuses before. A lot of us lived on them, right? Where the signs and the rules are completely different than they are to the rest of society. The rest of society generally follows pretty consistent traffic signs and traffic rules. But we all know, once you get on a college campus, they have their own set of rules. It's not public, it's their own private roads. So you really got to rely on the vision base there. Because human beings might not pick up the fact that this big old 3-mile loop around the school all of a sudden completely changed for 100 feet. And it's only 100 feet. And we were able to ascertain. So we did ascertain that it had a double yellow line, and we also ascertained that it was only about 100 feet of the section of the road. And then it went right back to one way. So just wanted to throw those out there. And the reason why I want to throw those out there is the only place in Houston I'm ever going to come across that is on the Rice University campus. So yeah, do we need to get that kind of thing fixed? But I'm only ever going to see that on that campus. So the only way I'm ever going to see if that got fixed is to drive all the way back out to Rice University again. So that's one of those interventions that I'm not even going to know if it gets fixed or not until I have an opportunity to go drive 35 miles to Rice University again. All right. We are going about, right now we're going about, let me end the trip here. So that we're going about 23 and a 30, so we're going a little bit slow, but we've got lots of work trucks around us and workers along the side of the road, literally 5 feet from the road, doing their work. Now it's starting to pick back up a bit. All right, and I'm going to, let me put on so that they know I'm about to end this. Next and there you go, they can go around me. All right. Well, I mean, there's a lot of good to this one. So this was the first drive to 12.5.6.3. Overall, fantastic. Highways and freeways, that end, you could definitely tell you were end to end on the highways and freeways. But when we got downtown, we had the flashing reds, which, God, I thought that was cured before. Now, granted, it's a data set of one input, but we did have an issue there, and it was not moving. And I did not feel it trying to inch up to think about moving. So, got to see if that's something that's consistent or that was just that one time. And then, yeah, the Rice University campus thing, where it got on. It did not recognize that the one-way street we were on turned into a two-way, and it stayed over to the left-hand side. So, should not have done that. But other than those two things, man, just great drive. So I will get all of this. Oh, and apologies. Yeah, my front GoPro got overheated. I forgot. I left the battery in there and it got overheated. So there's a period of time there we don't have the front camera. But yeah, overall, great drive. Like I said, we'll watch this thing marinate. I guarantee you it's going to get better. This generally happens. Like I will say, my first drives on every single software update, and maybe this is just me, but if I get interventions, it's always on that first one. And then it seems like by the time I get the fourth or fifth one, it goes like no interventions. So that's why I've always said Tesla FSD is kind of like marriages. You got to get those first 2 or 3 out of the way, and then by the time you're on that fourth or fifth one, man, you're cooking with salt and pepper. So that was a joke, by the way. If my wife is watching this, that is an absolute joke, and it's a banger of a joke. But anyway, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. That's my FSD drive for today. And I'll get all this uploaded and let you look at all of it. And I'll pinpoint the areas where everything happened. But glad all of y'all joined along with me. And like I always say, I'll see you again soon. Maybe tomorrow. Take it easy, babe. Take it easy, babe. My wife was on my mind. I mentioned my wife, and the next thing that comes out of my mind, take it easy, babe. Just take it easy. No, my wife does not beat me. I just want to look squarely in the camera. I have a wonderful marriage. My wife does not beat me. She does not lay hands on me. I am fine. So anyway, love all of y'all, and I will talk to y'all again soon. Bye.